Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us for this first episode of CNTV in 2022. I'm Brad Claunch.
And I'm Quin Tran. A new year is a good time to start fresh, set new goals and New Year's resolutions. We begin the new year with the story of this Chickasaw youth. Laney Daniels knows her life is a miracle. Her mother says Laney's birth came with health challenges that she has conquered.
In my pregnancy with Laney Kate, at our 20-week appointment, they were able to show some abnormalities, seeing that her stomach was in her chest cavity. And that was a clue to them that she had the condition that was known as congenital diaphragmatic hernia. This means that there's a slight hole in her diaphragm. Her stomach and her intestines had floated through that hole into her chest cavity, but that she had about a 50% chance to make it to term.
And what a blessing. She came. She arrived.
She did. She actually stayed a little longer. She stayed 41 weeks, and we induced at that time at the St. Francis Children's Hospital there in Tulsa. And they had let me know that she's not going to cry when she's born because she doesn't have any lung space. Her lungs were described as balloons that were uninflated. So they said she's going to be born, and we're going to immediately intubate her and let her rest before we go into her life support machine. So we were really not expecting much out of her when she was born. And again, a great blessing that she was born. And not only did she arrive, she had a healthy, strong cry. So there was just hope filled the room.
So she proved the doctors wrong.
She did.
Not once, but twice.
Multiple, many. She continued to just do that over and over. She was the first, what we call ECMO baby. That's the life support machine. It's a heart and lung bypass. She was the first ECMO baby to leave without a feeding tube and or oxygen. She left there breathing and eating completely on her own. When we left the hospital, she had covered so much ground and defeated so many odds. I knew that her diaphragm, lungs were well. We were still watching her heart and then the side effects of the machine. So we continued to do hearing and vision checks and heart checks up until 5. During those 5 years, we learned sign language so that in case that was one that they said her hearing or vision may be lost. So from 0 to 5, we did sign language so she would have that confidence of communication if it suddenly went away. And so then at 5, that's when we hit the mark that she's clear, she's out of that gray zone, and if she still has her ears, she's going to have them.
I wish I still knew sign language.
Yeah.
I would say I'm healthy. The only drawback is they had to reroute my right artery. And so I have a higher risk of passing out. I had been with Run the Streets, which is a local running program. And the finishing thing for Run the Streets was a half marathon, 13 miles. And so we ran 13 miles, 13.1. Yeah, I didn't pass out.
In 2016, you were selected the Children's Miracle Network, the child spokesperson. Tell us about that experience.
I was selected as the representative for Oklahoma. We did a lot of fun. I know we did fundraisers, medical things, and I wanted more kids to grow up healthy like me. And now I can see exactly how important it is. When I was there, they only had They had only had one ECMO machine. And of course, there were several babies there and things, and they still had to clean the machine and things, and then do that whole process over and over. And now they have over 20. ECMO machines.
There in Tulsa
Yeah.
at St. Francis.
And she just continued to just show up in the most miraculous ways. Every year that she's lived, she has a little more life perspective to understand her story. We have this strength inside of us from our ancestors that have already defeated so many more trials and tribulations. We gain that as well. We gain that strength, and so that's definitely a source truly there.
Laney loves creating art and reading and writing. We'll talk more with the 14-year-old about her award-winning short story next time on CNTV.
January is designated as National Blood Donor Month to raise awareness for donations. Over the past couple of months, the Chickasaw Nation participated in an intertribal blood drive challenge. Chickasaw citizen Dr. Judy Goforth Parker shares why she donates. She says it's a gift of life.
I have a friend whose husband has cancer, and it's a chronic type of cancer. And he receives blood products every 2 to 3 weeks. And so in order for him to continue living, he has to go in and get a unit or two of blood every 2 to 3 weeks. And so sometimes when I donate my blood, I am able to fill out a form and put his name on that and say, I'm donating for him. Because it's not, blood it's not a free product. It's, it costs all the things that we have to do to make sure that it's safe and to make sure that it's delivered to the facilities. And so that's one thing that I know that, when I say I'm saving a life, every once in a while, I'm saving his life personally, because I'm making sure that, that a blood product is going to him with my name on it. So that's kind of a real time example of saving somebody's life. And any of us could do that. If you knew somebody that needs blood chronically like he does, you could give in somebody's name. And you may not know anyone, but I do. And so as long as he's alive, I'm going to donate for him.
Contact the Oklahoma Blood Institute for more information. Get in touch with the OBI to learn how you may donate blood and save lives. While we appreciate them every day of the year, January 12th is National Pharmacists Day, a time to recognize the job that they do in healthcare. At the Chickasaw Nation, pharmacists advise patients on their medications, filling thousands of prescriptions each year. The Anoli Creative Writing Contest recognizes the talents of Chickasaw adults and youth who are passionate about writing.
2 teenage sisters, high school students, won first place for their pieces. Here's more from our recent conversation with Nalin and Quinn Saur. Nalin, let's start with you. You won first place for short story. Before we talk about your piece, I want to mention that you are connecting with us from Europe. You're spending your senior year of high school in Germany studying abroad. How amazing is that?
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm so happy to be here and also to be able to learn German as well as I have. It opens up a lot of new cultural influences, and it's really helpful in, making me realize what's actually possible.
Your short story is titled Sinti. What is the meaning of the word, and tell us about your short story.
So Sinti is snake in Chickasaw. And the story is about a young girl who visits her grandmother, and on this visit, she goes into the woods and meets the king of the snakes. He's a sort of a magical snake creature. She turns into a snake herself. It's based on a Chickasaw story that I remember listening to when I was young at the Chickasaw Cultural Center. I guess that story it really stuck with me, this idea of a person transforming into a snake. I think he drank out of a tree trunk, like water out of a tree trunk, or he ate something he shouldn't have. So he breaks this taboo, and then he is sort of punished for it by being turned into a snake. But this idea of, I guess, transformation and two halves and two sides really spoke to me. And so while I was writing this, I kind of played with the meaning of turning into a snake and the meaning of breaking that taboo, and I guess what transformation means. Most transformation stories, you have to either be one thing or the other. You have to choose. But I think that you can actually get a lot from learning to balance two sides of yourself instead of cutting one completely out.
And that's where I see that you celebrate both your Chickasaw heritage and your German heritage.
Yes. I found myself here talking to people about Chickasaw culture and like stomp dances and our music and our art. But then in America, I find myself talking about German food and, and architecture and culture. And so knowing both of those things, having both of those experiences is constantly enriching for me.
What stands out most in your piece to me is how you describe the grandmother in your short story. We can relate to this. Let me share a bit of it. Meemaw was witch old. She had pure white hair, dark skin with freckles on the hands, and so many wrinkles, she looked a little bit like a tree. Elders and nature are central to your theme. Is that important to you?
Yes. I didn't have that many elders growing up around me physically, but a lot of the interactions I did have with my grandparents and with the older generation in my family were very important to me growing up. Our elders are very important, and so are the stories that they have to tell. And then also, nature is vastly important to me. I try to go outside every day. I love trees so much. I think my whole camera roll is taken up with just pictures of trees. I find them constantly beautiful. It is very important to humans to remember that we are a part of nature.
Quin, you received first place for poetry, and I enjoyed your poem right away from just the title and the contrast in the words of the title. The title is Frozen Tree in Summer. Tell us about Frozen Tree in Summer.
It's if you don't kind of let go and really look into what's happened with you, it's going to freeze you. It's going to freeze how you grow. It's going to freeze how you learn. And you're kind of going to be stuck. We are solitary points, and space and time are moving around and past us. And we kind of move with it, but not really. And I think that that's really amplified if you have a wound that you haven't healed in your mind.
Like your sister, you use nature and family in the piece and use words to paint a picture for readers. This opening passage is very interesting to me. 3 hours later, she'll rise. The dark black hair lifts like feathers, plastered flat against the now clammy olive skin. Mine is almost like hers, like the outside of a sweet pecan. And then you write, the hot blood stays in my cheeks, so I'm red as the sour pomegranate, the peppered organ of fruits.
I do a lot of drawing and a lot of painting and whatnot. So I really only started poetry like a year ago. I have not been doing it for a very long time because I never thought I could. But I kind of started, and it was nice because it is, for me at least, it's kind of like just painting with your words, trying to put the pictures in your head and other people's head.
What would you say to other young people, your words of encouragement for them to pursue reading and writing and whatever it is their gift is?
Art is really just an expression of humanity through someone's lens of it. I personally believe that that's kind of what it is. It's an expression of something, whatever it is, through how that person sees it and perceives it, and then they're kind of making a statement about it with what they create. So I think because of that, any human can make art. Anyone can. And it's also, it's not necessarily something that you're quote unquote born with, or that's a talent. I think that especially with fine arts and realism and whatnot, it can be a learned thing. Study and you try, you can create something.
find what feels natural or what feels fresh. And then if you find that medium, if you have something to say, do your best to say it and realize that it doesn't have to be good. I think that's the most important thing, is to just do it. Just find something and do it. Anything that someone has created is better than nothing. The quality of the work doesn't necessarily matter as much as the miracle of its being there at all. That's also something. So when you're in your growth and you haven't yet made something that is, very good because you're still learning, that's okay. And what you are making still matters, and there will still be people out there who find it beautiful anyway.
We had a lot of fun connecting with them, as well as other winning writers. We'll share more conversations in upcoming CNTV episodes.
We've enjoyed spending time with you. Quinn and I will see you next time.